Hello everyone, this is Aerosag coming at you with a basic cuts tutorial. So first we're going to start with distance. This is a long distance. As you see, the blades are not touching even at the tips. You can't really hit the person. This is a prime thing about long distance, but you can do a backhand thrust to get at them. You will mostly need to take a step forward in order to hit them. Then you have mid-range, but your tips of your blades are crossing. Basic hits will hit your opponent. This is the prime distance for fighting. You can step in, you can cut the distance down, it's nice and easy. Best distance for fighting is in the mid-range. Then you have close distance, which is the hardest to defend against, easiest to attack because anything's going to hit. Then you have extreme long distance. A lot of distance between the blades. The prime thing is, you can't hit your opponent's blade with yours, except if you're doing a backhand thrust. A lunging backhand thrust will hit your opponent. I am fencing today against Jedi Master Pillow, because I don't have a sparring partner at the moment. So, the different distances. So, then we have the cuts. This is the push-pull method, also known as the semi-cut. So, as you can see, what you're doing is you are pushing on the top, pulling on the bottom to create a cut. This is about the most basic cut that you can do besides a full cut. It's very common. It's a nice snappy cut. Gets right in. Then we have the hip cut, also known as the full cut. What you're doing is you are twisting your hip. Some people, like myself, twist at the knees and also the ankles as well to generate as much power. It's a very powerful strike that allows you to go in and just deliver all that hit. So now we're going to move on to the prime strike, also known as the overhead or eagle strike. The primary focus is to go over the head to generate as much power as a hip strike without having to really twist your hips. As you can see, I twist my hips out of habit, really. It generates even more power like that, but a basic overhead strike like that will generate enough power on its own. Then we're going on to the pull cut. It's also known as a draw cut. What it does is, whatever you hit your opponent with, you can then draw the blade and pull the remainder of the blade along with it, creating a more painful hit. This mostly applies to swords. I've yet to see it be applied in a movie with a lightsaber. You can also do this with one hand. I will later be going into the one-hand variants of all these hits. Then we also have the feint hit, where what you're doing is you're spinning the blade on the outside or inside the body and then up and around, doing a snapping cut. As you can see, it pulls from the push-pull method to be able to do a nice snappy cut. You don't want to overswing where you go past where you're meaning to hit. You want to keep the blade facing the opponent at the end of the hit. This is the single hand variance. There's no real push-pull method because you can't push and pull with one hand. So you're very much stuck with one hand. So the hip cut works excellently because you can generate a lot of power with just one hand. You can also use your legs to step in and out to generate even more power by turning your entire body into the hit. The draw cut also works pretty well. You need to keep a loose wrist. As you can see, when I draw in, the lightsaber's almost on my wrist. The prime cut is also the perfect move because it generates a lot of power by itself. One hand will not be issuing that. So, thank you for listening, and may the Force be with you.